Create an image divided into two equal parts. On the left, a dimly lit, nostalgic background of faded schoolbooks and empty classroom desks with the bold title, "A former teacher, now forgotten in a nursing home, asked the new volunteer to sit and read like he was her." Prominently overlaid in large, elegant white letters evoking loneliness and warmth. On the right, a wide shot of an elderly woman with silver hair, sitting in a worn armchair by a window in a sparse nursing home room, her eyes distant and hands clasped in her lap. A former teacher, now forgotten in a nursing home, asked the new volunteer to sit and read like he was her. The door creaked open to room 214, and in that instant, Elias felt the weight of forgotten lives crash over him like a tidal wave. There she sat, Mrs. Eleanor Whitaker, her frail frame swallowed by an oversized armchair, eyes glazed with the haze of memories long eroded by time. "Young man," she whispered, her voice a fragile thread pulling him closer. "Sit and read to me like you were my son, me little Tommy, who never came back." Elias froze, his heart pounding as he clutched the volunteer badge on his chest. He had signed up for this gig at Willow Creek Nursing Home to pad his college resume, expecting bingo games and small talk, not this raw plea from a woman whose file described her as a retired English teacher with no living relatives. But something in her gaze, desperate, almost pleading, compelled him to pull up a stool, open the dog-eared copy of To Kill a Mockingbird from the shelf, and begin reading in a voice he hoped sounded filial. As the words flowed, Eleanor's face softened, lines of age melting into a semblance of peace. She leaned back, closing her eyes, and for the first time in years, the room filled with something other than silence. Elias read about Scout and Atticus, his tone rising and falling like a lullaby, and he wondered about Tommy. Who was he, and why had he vanished from her life? The afternoon sun slanted through the blinds, casting golden stripes across the faded carpet, and Elias found himself lost in the rhythm, the story weaving a fragile bridge between stranger and surrogate. By the time he reached the end of the chapter, Eleanor's hand trembled as she reached out, touching his arm. "You sound just like him," she murmured, tears glistening in her eyes. "Tommy loved that book. He would beg me to read it every night after his father left us." Elias swallowed hard, the weight of her confession settling in his chest. He wasn't prepared for this, for the way volunteering could crack open hearts, including his own. Over the next few visits, Elias returned, drawn by an inexplicable pull. Each time, Eleanor would greet him with that same request, "Read like you're my Tommy." He learned fragments of her brilliant career shaping young minds in a small-town school, where she taught literature with passion, inspiring generations. But life had been cruel. Her husband died young, and Tommy, her only child, had drifted away after high school, chasing dreams in the city that never brought him back. One rainy afternoon, as thunder rumbled outside, Elias read from The Great Gatsby, his voice echoing the novel's themes of lost dreams. Eleanor interrupted softly. "I was like Daisy, once full of hope. But time takes it all." Her stories poured out then. How she had sacrificed her own ambitions to raise Tommy alone, working extra hours to afford his books and tuition. Elias listened, his own life flashing before him, a privileged kid from the suburbs, volunteering out of obligation rather than empathy. As weeks turned into months, their sessions became rituals. Elias brought fresh books, sometimes poetry by Frost or Dickinson, and Eleanor's eyes would light up, reciting lines from memory. "Two roads diverged in a yellow wood," she quoted one day, her voice strong despite her frailty. Elias smiled, feeling a warmth he hadn't known he needed. In her, he saw the grandmother he never had, and in his readings, he gave her the son she lost. But doubts crept in. Other volunteers whispered about Eleanor's declining health, dementia setting in, confusing faces and timelines. Was he enabling a delusion or healing a wound? One evening, after a particularly emotional reading of Mice and Men, Eleanor clutched his hand. "Tommy, promise you'll visit more. Don't leave me like before." Elias's throat tightened. He wasn't Tommy, but in that moment, he wished he could be. The nursing home's corridors buzzed with routine meals on trays, medication rounds, the occasional visitor. Elias noticed how residents like Eleanor faded into the background, their stories untold. It stirred something in him, a resolve to make a difference. He started journaling their sessions, capturing her anecdotes. The student who became a famous author thanks to her encouragement, the school plays she directed with makeshift props. One crisp fall day, Elias arrived with a Surprisio-worn photo album he'd convinced the staff to let him borrow from storage. Flipping through yellowed pages, Eleanor's face illuminated. "There's Tommy," she said, pointing to a boy with curly hair and a mischievous grin. Elias stared. The resemblance to his own childhood photos was uncanny, but he brushed it off as coincidence. As he read from Pride and Prejudice, that day, Eleanor's laughter filled the room at Elizabeth Bennet's wit. "I taught that book for 30 years, she said. "Always told my students, love isn't about perfection, it's about understanding." Elias nodded, thinking of his own strained relationship with his parents, who pushed him toward law school instead of writing. Their bond deepened, but Eleanor's health waned. Coughs interrupted readings, and her hands shook more. Elias worried, staying longer each time. "You're the only one who listens," she confided. "The others, they forget us here." Her words hit hard, exposing the humanistic truth. In a world racing forward, the elderly were left behind, their wisdom discarded like old textbooks. One winter evening, snow blanketing the grounds, Elias read The Road Not Taken Again, her favorite. Tears streamed down her cheeks. "I chose the road of teaching, of motherhood. No regrets, but oh, the loneliness." Elias set the book aside, holding her hand. "You're not alone now," he said, his voice breaking. In that vulnerability, he realized volunteering had transformed him from detached observer to compassionate companion. As the session ended, Eleanor whispered, "Thank you, my boy." Elias left with a heavy heart, vowing to uncover more about Tommy. Little did he know, the past was about to resurface in ways he never imagined. Word count, approximately 1,500. To be continued. Elias dove into research that night, scouring online archives and old newspapers for clues about Tommy Whitaker. What he found chilled him. A brief obituary from 20 years ago. Thomas Whitaker, age 28, killed in a car accident while driving home for Christmas. Eleanor had been notified, but grief had shattered her, leading to early retirement and eventual isolation. The next day, armed with this knowledge, Elias hesitated outside her door. How could he broach it? Instead, he read from Hamlet, channeling the prince's turmoil. Eleanor sensed his unease. "What's troubling you, Tommy?" she asked. Elias took a breath. "Mrs. Whitaker, I learned about your son. I'm so sorry." Her eyes widened, then softened. "Oh, child, it's been so long since anyone spoke his name." Stories flooded out Tommy's love for adventure, his letters from the city promising visits that never came. Elias listened, the drama of loss unfolding like a tragic play. In her pain, he saw the universal human struggle, holding on to memories as anchors against oblivion. As sessions continued, Elias introduced small Joyce a bouquet of daisies, her favorite flower, or recordings of classical music to accompany readings. Eleanor's spirit revived slightly, her laughter echoing faintly. "You remind me of him so much," she said one day, tracing his face. Elias felt a pang. Was it ethical to play this role? But the humanistic value shown through connection healed, even if imperfect. Enter Mrs. Lydia Grant, a fellow resident and unexpected ally. Wheelchair-bound with sharp wit, she rolled into Eleanor's room during a reading of Jane Eyre. "Mind if I join? This beats bingo any day." Lydia, a former librarian, added commentary, twisting the narrative with her insights. "Rochester's blind, but love sees," she quipped, shifting the mood from somber to lively. Lydia's presence changed everything. She shared her own story: widowed young, children scattered across states, forgotten like yesterday's news. "We elders are libraries burning down," she said dramatically. Elias read to both now, the trio forming an unlikely family. Twists emerged. Lydia revealed she had known Eleanor in their youth, rivals for the same teaching position. "I lost, but gained a friend," she admitted, emphasizing forgiveness's power. One stormy afternoon, as Elias read Wuthering Heights, passions mirroring the weather, Lydia interjected with a bombshell. "Eleanor, tell him about the letter." Eleanor's face paled. "What letter?" Elias pressed. Reluctantly, she confessed. Tommy had written a final letter before his death, apologizing for his absence, promising to return. But it arrived posthumously, deepening her grief. The revelation hit Elias like lightning. He saw parallels in his life, neglecting calls from his own mother. That night, he phoned home, tears flowing as he vowed to visit more. The story's drama intensified, highlighting how past regrets fueled present actions. With Lydia's encouragement, Elias organized a story hour for the home, inviting residents to share tales. Eleanor blossomed, reciting poems from memory, her teacher persona revived. "Words connect us," she declared, eyes sparkling. Humanistic themes wove through. Empathy bridged generations, turning isolation into community. But health decline spared no one. Eleanor's cough worsened, doctors murmuring about pneumonia. Elias read tirelessly, his voice a lifeline. Lydia wheeled closer, holding her hand. "We're here," she whispered. In this twist of camaraderie, Elias realized the secondary character's role. Lydia not only changed perspective, but amplified emotions, showing strength in unity. As spring approached, buds hinting at renewal, Elias read The Catcher in the Rye, Holden's angst resonating. Eleanor smiled weakly. "Protect the innocent, like I tried with my students." Elias nodded, vowing to carry her lessons forward. One poignant evening, Eleanor grasped his sleeve. "You've given me back my son, if only in spirit." Tears blurred Elias's vision. The bond, forged in fiction, felt profoundly real. Word count, approximately 1,500. To be continued. The twist arrived unannounced, shattering the fragile equilibrium Elias had built. During a routine reading of Moby Dick, with Lydia nodding along to Ahab's obsession, a knock echoed at the door. In walked Dr. Harlan, the home's administrator, accompanied by a middle-aged man with salt and pepper hair and eyes that mirrored Tommy's from the photos. "Mr. Elias Thompson?" Dr. Harlan asked, his tone formal. Elias stood, confusion knotting his brow. The stranger extended a hand. "I'm Robert Whitaker, Tommy's cousin. I've been searching for Aunt Eleanor for years." The room spun. Robert explained how family rifts had scattered them after Tommy's death, but a recent ancestry test reconnected threads. He had come to reclaim her, to bring her home. Eleanor's reaction was electric. "Robert? Little Bobby," she gasped, recognition dawning through the fog. Lydia wheeled back, her sharp eyes widening in surprise. This unexpected secondary character Robert flipped the narrative, injecting hope amid despair. Elias felt a mix of relief and loss. Was his role obsolete now? Robert's presence stirred deep emotions. He shared stories of Tommy's city life adventures Eleanor never knew, like backpacking through Europe or writing unpublished poems. "He always spoke of you," Robert said, handing her a bundle of old letters. Eleanor's hands trembled as she read, tears soaking the paper. "My boy, he did remember." The drama escalated as Robert revealed plans to move Eleanor to his home in the countryside, where she could live out her days surrounded by family remnants. Elias's heart ached. Their readings had been his anchor too. But humanistic values prevailed. Reunion trumped possession. "This is good," Lydia whispered to him. "Let her go with grace." In the following sessions, Robert joined, listening as Elias read The Old Man and the Sea, Hemingway's tale of perseverance mirroring Eleanor's life. Robert added his voice, reading passages with a timbre eerily like Tommy's. The twist deepened feelings, emphasizing redemption's unpredictability. The door creaked open like a forgotten memory, and there she sat, Eleanor Hayes, her frail hands trembling on the armrests of a worn wheelchair, eyes wide with a spark that pierced the dim fluorescence of Willowbrook Nursing Home. In that instant, as the new volunteer, young and uncertain, stepped inside, she whispered with a voice cracked by decades, "Sit down, boy, and read to me like you're my student again." But he wasn't. He was a stranger, and in her plea lay the shattering truth of a life erased by time, begging for one last echo of purpose. Eleanor's room smelled of stale lavender and antiseptic, a far cry from the chalk-dusted classrooms where she once commanded rows of eager faces. At 87, her world had shrunk to these four walls, where nurses bustled past without a glance, and family visits were ghosts of holidays long gone. She had been a teacher for 40 years, molding minds in the small town of Eldridge, turning shy children into confident dreamers. Now, Forgotten by the very community she built, she clung to fragments of the past, her mind a labyrinth of lessons taught and lives touched. The volunteer, Alex Rivera, was 22, fresh out of college with a degree in literature and a heart full of naive idealism. He had signed up for the program to pad his resume, but as he pulled up a chair beside her bed, something in her gaze hooked him deeper. "What would you like me to read, Mrs. Hayes?" he asked, his voice gentle. Pulling a tattered book from the shelf, a collection of classic poems, edges frayed like her memories. "Call me Miss Eleanor," she corrected, her eyes lighting up. "And start with Whitman. Leaves of Grass. Read it like you're discovering America for the first time." Alex nodded, flipping pages, his voice steady at first, then faltering as he felt the weight of her expectation. She leaned forward, lips moving silently along with the words, as if reclaiming a piece of herself. As days turned to weeks, their routine became a ritual. Alex arrived every afternoon, book in hand, and Eleanor would transform. No longer the silent resident in room 112, she became the educator again, interrupting his readings with questions that probed his soul. "Why do you think the poet sings of himself?" she'd ask, her voice gaining strength. Alex, who had lost his own direction after graduation, found himself unraveling under her scrutiny. He shared stories of his immigrant parents, the pressure to succeed, the fear of failure. Eleanor listened, nodding, her wrinkled hands patting his arm like a proud mentor. One rainy Tuesday, as thunder rumbled outside, Eleanor handed him a yellowed envelope. "This is for you," she said, her eyes misty. Inside were letters, dozens of them from former students, thanking her for believing in them. "They wrote these years ago," she murmured. "But no one comes now." Read one aloud. Alex's throat tightened as he recited a letter from a girl who became a doctor. "You saw potential in me when no one else did, Miss Eleanor. You saved my life." Tears welled in Eleanor's eyes, and for the first time, Alex saw the depth of her loneliness, not just forgotten, but abandoned by the echoes of her impact. Their bond deepened, pulling Alex from his self-doubt. He began bringing his own writings, poems scribbled in notebooks, and Eleanor critiqued them with the sharpness of her prime. "This line lacks heart," she'd say. "Dig deeper, boy. Make it bleed." Under her guidance, Alex submitted a piece to a local journal, his words blooming like the students she once nurtured. But beneath the warmth, a shadow loomed. Eleanor's health was fading, her breath shorter, her stories repeating like a record skipping. In the quiet hours after readings, Eleanor shared fragments of her life. She had never married, choosing her classroom over romance, pouring her love into generations of children. "They were my family," she'd whisper. Alex wondered about her regrets, but she waved them away. "Regret is for those who didn't live fully. I lived through them." Yet, in her voice, a tremor betrayed the cost: the empty holidays, the silent phone. One evening, as Alex read from Dickens, Eleanor interrupted with a cough that rattled her frame. "Stop," she gasped. "Tell me about your dreams, Alex. What do you want to be?" He hesitated, then confessed his secret aspiration: to teach, like her. Her smile was radiant, but fleeting. "Then be better than me," she said. "Don't let them forget you." The nursing home's corridors echoed with the shuffle of forgotten souls, but in Eleanor's room, a spark reignited. Alex noticed other residents peeking in, drawn by the sound of poetry. Soon, a small group gathered: Mr. Thompson, a war veteran with tales of valor; Mrs. Patel, who hummed old lullabies. Eleanor orchestrated it all, turning their sessions into impromptu classes. "Share your stories," she'd urge, her voice commanding once more. Alex's life outside began to shift. Inspired, he applied for teaching positions, his applications infused with Eleanor's wisdom. But doubt crept in. Was he truly cut out for it? One night, after a particularly emotional reading of Frost's The Road Not Taken, Eleanor grasped his hand. "The path chooses you, if you're brave enough." Her words lingered, a balm to his insecurities. As winter approached, Eleanor's condition worsened. Doctors whispered of pneumonia, but she dismissed them. "I've got lessons to finish," she'd say. Alex read faster, hungrier, as if words could anchor her to life. In those moments, the room filled with the ghosts of her past: laughing children, ringing bells, the scent of fresh apples on desks. Then came the twist that shattered the fragile peace. One afternoon, As Alex arrived, he found a stranger in the room, a middle-aged woman with Eleanor's eyes, clutching a bouquet. "I'm her daughter," she said, voice breaking. "I haven't visited in years. Work life. Excuses." Alex stared, stunned. Eleanor had never mentioned a child. The woman, Sarah, explained, born out of wedlock, raised by relatives to spare Eleanor's reputation in the conservative town. "She sacrificed everything for her career," Sarah wept, "and I resented her for it." Eleanor's face, pale against the pillows, softened. "My girl," she whispered. The reunion was bittersweet, layers of pain peeling back. Sarah's presence shifted the dynamic, forcing Alex to confront the complexities of forgiveness. As mother and daughter reconciled through tears and stories, Alex felt a surge of emotion, the human capacity for redemption, even in the twilight. With Sarah's help, they organized a surprise, inviting former students to visit. Word spread, and soon the nursing home buzzed with arrivals. Elderly now themselves, they hugged Eleanor, sharing how she changed their lives. "You made me a writer," one said. "A leader," another. Tears flowed, laughter echoed, and for a day, Eleanor was remembered, her legacy alive. But the joy was fleeting. That night, Eleanor's breathing grew labored. Alex stayed by her side, reading her favorite poem. "I hear America singing," he intoned, his voice cracking. She squeezed his hand. "You've been my best student," she murmured. In the hush that followed, Alex realized the profound truth. In pretending to be her pupil, he had become one, and she, in her final act, had taught him the ultimate lesson of connection, memory, and the enduring power of kindness. The revelation of Sarah lingered like a storm cloud, reshaping everything Alex thought he knew about Eleanor. In the days following the reunion, Sarah became a fixture, her guilt manifesting in overzealous care-fluffing pillows, bringing homemade soups, recounting childhood memories Eleanor had buried deep. "You were always so strong, Mom," Sarah said one evening, as Alex read quietly in the corner. Eleanor smiled faintly, but her eyes held a quiet accusation, a reminder of years lost to silence. Alex felt like an intruder now, his role diminished. Yet, Eleanor insisted he continue. "Read on, boy," she'd say. "Sarah needs to hear this too." As he delved into Shakespeare's sonnets, themes of time and loss resonated deeper. Sarah listened, tears streaming, and slowly, bridges formed. She shared how Eleanor's absence had scarred her missed birthdays, lonely nights. "I became a teacher myself," Sarah confessed, "to prove I didn't need you." The irony stung, highlighting the cycle of influence Eleanor had unwittingly perpetuated. Outside the room, Alex grappled with his own emotions. The twist of Sarah's existence forced him to question legacies. Was teaching a path of glory or quiet sacrifice? He confided in a fellow volunteer, Mia, a bubbly art student who painted murals in the common area. "It's complicated," he said. Mia, with her infectious optimism, offered a new perspective. "Maybe that's the point, human stories are messy. That's what makes them beautiful." Inspired by Mia, Alex introduced art into their sessions. He brought sketch pads, and Eleanor, with trembling hands, drew simple shape samples, books, faces of children. Sarah joined, her drawings revealing hidden talents. "I forgot how much I love this," she said. The activity unearthed more memories. Eleanor's secret passion for painting, abandoned for the stability of teaching. "I chose duty over dreams," Eleanor admitted. The confession humanized her further, stripping away the pedestal Alex had placed her on. As spring bloomed, Eleanor's health rallied briefly. The group's sessions expanded, with residents sharing life lessons. Mr. Thompson recounted battlefield horrors, teaching resilience. Mrs. Patel sang folk songs, evoking cultural roots. Eleanor moderated, her voice a steady anchor. Alex watched in awe as the nursing home transformed from a place of waiting to one of vibrant exchange. "This is what teaching is," Eleanor told him. "Not just facts, but souls touching souls." But darkness crept back. Sarah discovered old journals and Eleanor's trunk pages filled with regret over giving her up. "Why didn't you fight for me?" Sarah asked, voice raw. Eleanor's response was a whisper. "Society wouldn't let me. I thought it was best." The confrontation peaked in a heated argument, emotions spilling like overdue rain. Alex mediated, drawing from Eleanor's lessons. Forgiveness isn't forgetting, he said. It's choosing love anyway. In that moment, he realized his growth from hesitant volunteer to empathetic guide. The twist deepened with Mia's unexpected involvement. She revealed her own story. Orphan young, raised in foster care, art her salvation. Eleanor's like the mother I never had, Mia said. Her presence added layers, as she organized a resident art show. Paintings of past lives adorned the walls, Eleanor's Centrala classroom bursting with color. The event drew local media, spotlighting the forgotten elders. These are our unsung heroes, a reporter quoted Alex. Eleanor's pride swelled, but fatigue set in. One night, as Alex read from Hemingway, she stopped him. Write my story, Alex, so they remember. He promised, notebook in hand, transcribing her tales, the triumphs, heartbreaks, the quiet victories. Sarah contributed photos, piecing together a mosaic of a life richly lived. As summer neared, Eleanor's decline accelerated. Doctors spoke of hospice, but she refused. I've got more to teach. Alex and Sarah alternated vigils, reading in shifts. Mia joined, sketching Eleanor's portrait, a dignified woman, eyes alight. The portrait captured her essence, a testament to enduring spirit. In quieter moments, Alex reflected on his journey. Eleanor had asked him to read like her student, but he had become Familia's surrogate son, bridging gaps. The human value shone through. In vulnerability, we find strength. In forgiveness, redemption. Eleanor's life, though forgotten by many, had rippled outward, touching him, Sarah, Mia, and beyond. One poignant afternoon, with sunlight filtering through curtains, Eleanor gathered them close. You've all been my class, she said weakly. Graduate with open hearts. Tears flowed as they held hands, a circle of lives intertwined. Alex read her favorite line from Whitman. I am large, I contain multitudes. In her nod, he saw acceptance, the end nearing, but legacy eternal. The air in Eleanor's room grew heavier, thick with the scent of impending farewell. As her breath shallowed, Alex clung to the rituals, reading passages that once ignited her fire. Sarah sat vigil, her hand entwined with her mother's, whispering apologies that morphed into affirmations of love. Mia hovered nearby, her sketches evolving into a mural on the Walla timeline of Eleanor's life, from youthful teacher to wise elder. The nursing home staff noticed the change. Whispers of Miss Eleanor's family spread, humanizing the residents. Inspired, they initiated more program story circles, music hours echoing Eleanor's influence. Alex, now committed to teaching, secured a position at Eldridge High, the very school where Eleanor began. I'll carry you there, he told her. Her smile, faint but genuine, was reward enough. Yet, another twist emerged unexpectedly. During a routine clean, a nurse found a hidden box under Eleanor's bed, letters, not from students, but to a long-lost love. Addressed to my dear Robert, they revealed a forbidden romance with a fellow teacher, ended by societal pressures. He was the one, Eleanor confessed in a lucid moment. But duty called. Sarah, reading them aloud, uncovered her own origins. Robert was her father, deceased years ago. The discovery rocked her, adding grief to reconciliation. Why hide this, she asked. Eleanor's reply, to protect you from my pain. This revelation humanized Eleanor further, portraying her not as infallible mentor, but as a woman who loved deeply and lost profoundly. Alex saw parallels in his life, his unspoken crush on Mia, fears holding him back. Don't wait, Eleanor urged him. Emboldened, he confessed to Mia over coffee in the cafeteria. You've brought color to this gray place, he said. Her reciprocation sparked hope amid sorrow. As Eleanor's condition worsened, the group rallied. Former students returned, forming a bedside chorus of gratitude. One, now a senator, promised to advocate for elder care reforms. You taught us justice, he said. Eleanor, eyes dimming, absorbed it all, her spirit buoyed. In the hush of night, Alex read from her journals, voices of the past blending with present. Themes of resilience emerged: the immigrant child she championed, the bullied boy who became valedictorian. Each story underscored human value. Kindness ripples, unseen but transformative. Sarah, transformed by forgiveness, planned a memorial garden in the nursing home courtyard. For all the forgotten, she said. Mia designed it, flowers symbolizing growth. Alex contributed a bench inscribed with Whitman's words. One stormy evening, as rain lashed the windows, Eleanor's voice rose faintly. Read the end, Alex. He chose Tolstoy's War and Peace, themes of redemption resonating. Midway, she squeezed his hand. Thank you, my student, my son. Her eyes closed, peace settling like dusk. The room fell silent, grief crashing in waves. Sarah sobbed. Mia sketched through tears. Alex held the book like a lifeline. In that moment, the drama peaked not in loss, but in the profound connection forged. Eleanor's plea had been more than memory. It was a call to live fully, love boldly. The funeral was a celebration hundreds attended, from students to strangers touched by her story. Alex spoke, voice steady. She asked me to read like her student, but taught me to be human. Sarah unveiled the garden, a living legacy. In the aftermath, Alex began teaching, infusing lessons with Eleanor's passion. Mia joined him, their relationship blooming. Sarah visited often, honoring her mother through advocacy. Months later, Alex published Eleanor's story, a book that climbed charts, reminding the world of forgotten elders. Royalties funded scholarships in her name. The human value endured. One act of kindness, like a volunteer's visit, could rewrite destinies. Yet, in quiet moments, Alex returned to Willowbrook, reading to others. Sit and listen, he'd say, echoing her. The cycle continued, lives touched, memories preserved. But the story didn't end there. Legacies like Eleanor's weave onward, threads in the tapestry of humanity. Alex's classroom became a haven, where students explored not just texts, but emotions. He shared Eleanor's tales, inspiring a new generation. One shy girl, reminiscent of young Eleanor, blossomed under his guidance. You see me, she said, echoing past gratitudes. Sarah, empowered, lobbied for better nursing home conditions. Her speech is fiery with personal pain. Our elders are treasures, not burdens, she'd proclaim. Mia's art therapy program expanded, healing through creation. Together, they formed a foundation that Eleanor Hayes legacy funding volunteer initiatives nationwide. Occasional twists surfaced. A descendant of Robert contacted Sarah, sharing family heirlooms. Your mother was his greatest love, the letter read. It closed circles, adding depth to Eleanor's narrative. Alex married Mia in the garden, vowing to nurture like Eleanor taught. Their children grew hearing her stories, ensuring she lived on. Years passed, and Alex, now graying, visited Willowbrook. A new resident asked, "Read to me?" He smiled, sitting down. "Like you're my teacher?" she said. The cycle renewed, human connections defying time. In the end, Eleanor's simple request had sparked a revolution of remembrance. Forgotten no more, her spirit whispered, in every act of kindness, we find eternity.